Hi everybody, this is our lab for finding out how shadow plots change season to season. So far, we've only worked with one shadow plot that was made in the very first part of September, and we know these must change because by now everybody knows that our round surface is constantly changing its orientation to the sun, so the light's hitting us very differently, which means these should look very different, and this is an activity that will give us a really good idea of how these change season to seasons. So what we're going to need to do first of all is we're going to need to get an index card, and we're going to put a little X on that index card about an inch up from the bottom of the card. Then right on the back side of that X, I'm going to take a little bit of tape and ball it up, and I'm going to put that tape so it's just opposite the X. So here I have my X and my tape. Now, I'm going to take the card, I'm going to come over to the globe, and I'm going to roughly find Washington State. You don't have to be exact. And I'm going to tape my card with my X right above Washington State. And notice that the bottom of the card is kind of parallel to the equator, or the Tropic of Cancer in this case, but the equator as well, so it's not tilting around. Then, on top of that, we're going to take our little gnomon, and it's on a little piece of sticky tack. This isn't clay, so it'll stick. And we're going to put that, and what we're making is we're making a nice flat shadow plot that still exists on our round surface, and this makes a really good model for this. Now comes the kind of a little bit of a tricky part, and that is that we know that light comes off of our light like a bicycle wheel in all directions, but we know in reality that it hits the earth in parallel lines. So we only need one parallel line of light, and this guy, that's this guy that I did the arrow with, and it's what we're also trying to show on that little diagram on your paper for this. And what we need to do is set up our light so that this straight one is basically coming and hitting our gnomon straight on, and that's why I've got all these books right here, because these need to adjust the height of the light because it will change for all three seasons. And you can see, to be even with this, I need to move this up a little bit. So what I'm going to have to do is grab a few more books until it looks like I've got the height of this right, and I need to go even a little bit more yet. So I'll just do that, and this would probably be a pretty good height. Now, this is our first one, and it's going to be for winter. You can see the northern hemisphere is facing away from our light, which is the sun, and so this is going to be for our winter orientation. Once you have all this set up, then with the lights off and the light on, you're going to slowly rotate the globe so it comes in, and that gnomon's going to start throwing a shadow. And as soon as that shadow hits the card, you're going to do just like a real shadow plot. And I would stand behind the globe like this, and you might have to support the card a little bit. And as soon as you see the tip of the shadow, start making a dot. And try and make maybe about 8 to 9 dots all the way through the rotation of the earth. So I'm just kind of going like this. As the shadow moves, I'm making dots right where it is, so I have a series of dots, just like on a real shadow plot that shows me the basic shape of the shadow plot for that season. This is probably the trickiest one, because sometimes students will say, well, the tip of the shadow is not hitting my card. That means you need to raise your light up a little bit, okay? Now, the other thing, and I'll go to the opposite season, now we'll do a summer orientation. And summer orientation, we now have the northern hemisphere facing towards our sun. The tricky part of this one is this bar's a little bit in our way. But also, when we move the gnomon down to its kind of local noon position, you can see now it's way lower than the light, and we need to have that light line coming straight across. So I've got to drop a lot of books for this particular one. So I'm going to just take these out, and I'm going to adjust as I need. You can't get it perfect, but it turns out really well. And that actually looks pretty good right there. I got lucky in one. So on this one, same exact idea as before. We're going to start rotating this in, and as soon as we see the tip of the shadow starting to make a mark on here, you're just going to, from behind, make a dot on that. You might have to put your hand behind the paper a little bit because the paper does flex, and you'll just go right on through. Now when you get to the bar, obviously that's not going to go through, so just move it around to the other side and finish it up over on this side. And then your final season is gonna be spring, fall, and now we're going to put it so neither hemisphere is more close to the light. And this one, once again, when you get there, you're gonna have to readjust your light. You can see the light needs to now actually go up a little bit again in order to be in the right spot, because we want that straight line of light hitting our gnomon. This is a really, really accurate activity, if you're careful, that will produce shadow plots that look just like the real thing on the first day of summer, the first day of winter, and the first day of spring and fall. We'll be working in groups of 4. We'll have the lights out for a while, so happy card filling out. Thanks.